Well, hey everybody, and welcome to episode 17 of the Pixar Post Podcast. As usual, I'm TJ.
And I'm Julie.
And in this episode, we have two main topics. I mean, it almost seems to make sense with the D23 Expo right around the corner.
Yeah.
So that's going to be one of our...
a little over a week away.
That's going to be one of our major topics. And then the other one we're going to talk about, in fact, what we're going to kick off with, is a little bit of discussion about our forum. Because last time we had tipped off the listeners of our podcast that we were going to be launching our forum, and we did that early for the podcast listeners. And it's been going great. I mean, obviously with any forum, it takes some time to get rolling and get people and get discussing and those kind of things. Mm-hmm. But so far, we've been really happy with it.
Yeah.
We've had some really good questions and comments that have been out there.
It's been less than 2 weeks that it's been live. So, but yes,
or right at.
Yeah, great topics that a lot of the Pixar fans have put out there.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, not everything's a heavy hitting topic as well. There's some that are. Just about like who's been to the studio and what were their experiences. Somebody actually pointed out some really good, like early The Good Dinosaur, The Art of Good Dinosaur book. They found some details on it online, so they posted about that. And then talking about, some other toys and stuff. So it's pretty cool. But one of the things that we wanted to start doing on the podcast is actually pull out those topics or discussions that really kind of made us think or talk more, even amongst ourselves. Mm-hmm. So that one of them was about who do you want to see direct an upcoming feature film, and overwhelmingly, do you know who the number one was?
I did not.
Okay, so take a guess who you think the number one requested director for an upcoming Pixar feature would be.
Brad Bird?
Yeah, of course. And it was for...
Incredibles 2?
Yeah. Of course it was. Of course it was. So who else do you think made the cut of the next... So I listed the top 4. So who were the next ones that had the most mentions?
Mark Walsh.
Yes. Well, that obviously helped with you and I both mentioning that.
Right.
But yes, there were some other people that mentioned him as well.
Oh, gosh. Enrico?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. You've got one more. Can you get it?
Angus MacLane?
Ooh, I'm sorry, that is incorrect. I'll give you one more guess.
Give me a hint.
Think of the Good Dinosaur.
Pete Sohn?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So, we'd be interested to see what our listeners think as well. So if you haven't jumped onto the forum, that's kind of our little intro question to get you to think about it. Definitely jump on there, sign up, start chatting, and contribute to some of these questions. We'd be interested to see what you have to say as well, and who's going to tally out to be the top director there. But yeah, really interesting to see, kind of what some people's thoughts were, because they expanded on it. Like they talked about, somebody said, I really want to see another, well, you were happy about this, another Mark Andrews.
Yeah, he was in my list.
Right, but yes.
I listed 3, and I love Mark Andrews. I mean, it's no shocker to anyone that I really love Brave. It's like my top 2 Pixar films. I love it.
Did we even mention, I don't think we mentioned in the last podcast, that we had a reader send you a little something special because of your Mark Andrews?
Oh yeah, we did. We didn't mention it, but one of our readers and listeners was actually
that we met up with at Disneyland, Paulina.
Yeah, she was actually, I believe, with her daughter at a Oscar event. The Academy event had right before the Oscars last year. They were talking. There's like a panel. We covered it on our site. Actually, they did like a review on
Lasseter,
it. Yeah.
Paulina's daughter did a guest review of the event for us.
Yeah, it was like an animation panel for all of the directors that were,
up for the best animated feature.
Right, for the Oscar. She, I guess, met him and was able to get his autograph, which is Mandrew's, and she actually sent it to us.
Yeah, pretty crazy stuff.
I was so geeked out. Because I really do. I really like him. I like his energy. There's so many Pixar directors, animators, everybody that, I, can relate to. But just his being loud and just like.
So you hear that, everybody? Julie
there.
Just likes when you get all loud and excited.
I just like inappropriateness. I just feel like I think he's great. So
yeah, absolutely.
That was a real delight. And then also in my category, or in my top 3 that I listed, was obviously Mark Walsh.
Well,
it's also no surprise that we love Partysaurus Rex.
Right.
I think that Mark would be...
Is this going to be a prediction?
Yes.
Okay, I'm ready.
I think that Mark... I should also have to say his last name, because I've got Mark and Mark.
Oh, yeah. Mark Andrews, Mark Walsh.
Yes, I think Mark Walsh would be amazing at like a feature with an original script, not something that would be like on like a Toy Story tune or something that is like a prequel or a sequel. I would also actually really, maybe not so much in a feature role, I would really like to see a feature short by Mark Walsh.
A feature short. Oh, rather than it having like Partysaurus Rex being ahead of
just
Finding
like,
Nemo, the re-release. Not a continuation of the other characters.
Right, a complete original feature short that would be nominated.
Okay. Yeah.
For an Oscar kind of thing. I think that is a role that he could really jump into.
Sure.
I think that he has an energy too, and I think he has almost like a persistentness. Like, yeah. We talked to him and he explained to us the bubbles in Partysaurus Rex and how that was something that he couldn't let go. He didn't want it to look like caviar.
Right.
He wanted that really realistic approach.
Right.
Really,
the look.
Yes.
Yeah. And I remember they messed with him. The Pixar Canada team messed with him and said, we couldn't do it. And then, he was like, oh, no, I gotta have it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like, obviously the energy of Partysaurus Rex, was, written by him and everything like that. And I feel like he has a unique story ability as well as like a fresh approach.
Sure.
So I think that would be interesting to see.
Right. Definitely like to see more of his comedic stylings, because he seems to, even on the commercials that he's done and the other shorts that he's been involved with, and his animation on Dory and those types of things,
right,
he definitely has a very strong comedic connection.
But not just a comedic connection, I feel like he has a very like sensitive, heartwarming, if you look at Dory, yeah,
no doubt about it.
Obviously
that's how she was written as well. But we know from talking with Mark as well that he's very sincere and he does care a lot about the projects he's working on and
the entire crew.
Absolutely.
Every single person involved. Not that anyone else doesn't, but it's just from talking with him.
Yeah, we've had the most connection with him, and we, as far as communications with the Pixar director, that's who we've been lucky enough to be able to communicate with the most. And yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I
agree 100%.
I'd love to see that. And then my third one was Austin Madison. Now, obviously, we've talked about him before.
Right.
But
we talked about him before on the, either last or the 2 episodes ago, something like that, where we talked about the fact that, he's going that direction, and we're really excited to see where he goes because of obviously the wittiness and all that.
Yeah.
So one of the other topics that was discussed, it was a question that was brought up by one of the forum users named Rachel, and she said, who wants to work at Pixar, and how are you working towards your dream? So you could assume that the question of who wants to work at Pixar is a pretty easy question. You'd see it out there. But what I really liked is that she pushed the envelope and asked, and what are you doing
to get
there? Like, I thought that was really insightful and really cool. Mm-hmm. So there was a lot of great feedback that's already come from that. But we certainly want to hear from more people as well. So again, that's another one that we want more people to chime in on. But of the other responses that have been out there, we noticed a tweet earlier in the week from Nick Bartone, who's a Pixarian. He's a lighting technical director, and he posted a video that was the Mark Davis lecture series from SIGGRAPH this year. It was a panel of 8 industry animators, directors.
I believe it was one of the keynotes.
It was the keynote.
Okay.
Yeah, and it included Pete Docter on there. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I ended up taking that video and said, you know what, this is perfect for the question that Rachel posed, and I put it in there and kind of summarized some of the points of it. So we wanted to talk through some of those things because obviously if you're talking about 8 people that work in the industry, that are animators, directors, that have worked their way up the ranks, there's some very, very senior people that were there. and obviously, we're talking about it because Pete Docter was there as well. It's great deep insights. Like, for instance, just on a more base level, the first one that Pete Docter kind of talked about is that he said when he started out going to Cal Arts, he assumed that going to school was going to be all about drawing. And he said when he got out of school, he realized that it was all about acting and storytelling. And I thought, it's just one of those things that you may know that in the back of your mind, but when you hear somebody like Pete Docter say it, it sticks a little more because it's somebody that, you respect. And I'm assuming since Rachel posted...
Not someone you respect, but probably someone that you aspire to.
Exactly. Aspire to be in that type of position. So, and he had some other really, really great insights as well. Like, he asked... What's a great tip for somebody that's looking to get in the industry? And I took a audio sample of this, so let's just take a listen to this real quick.
I grew up in Bloomington, Minnesota, and they had a program where you could hook up with a local company, and I found this animation firm called Bages Jones, and I don't know why, but they said, sure, come on in, use any of the equipment, talk to any of the guys. And so I just spent my entire high school, as much time as I could there, figuring this stuff out and looking at the videotapes that they had. They had, Oscar Grillo's Reel and a lot of your stuff and Dick Williams and all these commercials, because that's mainly what they did. But it was a great place to learn. And the other cool thing about being at a place like that is it's small enough that it's like a lot of people I talk to want to get into Disney or to Pixar or whatever. And if you can get into a small place, you have a lot more chance to experiment and try things and be a part of really contribute. It's a great place to start.
So I thought that was really important to post because obviously, even thinking about ourselves, Pixar's like, for us, obviously running the blog, and for people that are going to be posting on our forum, that's probably what they want to achieve. People probably listening to this podcast, if they want to work in the industry, that's probably where they're going to want to work. So I thought it was really interesting to hear him say that because it almost in a way makes it acceptable and not a failure if you don't necessarily hit Pixar as your first win of getting a job, if you will. So it's like, the standard of, sure, go ahead and shoot for the moon, but if you miss, you'll land amongst the stars, that kind of thing. So it's like, I thought that was really good that he kind of shed some light there, that in a small company, you're almost going to get more of that experience in all areas, from animation to directing to having more conversations across the board. So that way, when you got to Pixar, you would almost be more well-rounded rather than having an area of expertise that you learned in school. So I thought that was really kind of insightful, and it's obviously something that not everybody, you don't want to do that. You don't want to go through and do like the, paying your dues kind of thing. But I think in this instance, it would really help.
I think it's really important that he did mention that as well, because I think it just kind of tells people, hey, it doesn't mean you're not going to get there. Exactly. Keep shooting for it. If that's your dream, keep going for it.
Right.
But if you get another studio, know what? It's not.
Right, you're gonna get some great opportunities out of it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I thought that was fantastic. So I think that's one of the things I wanted to reiterate as well, because a lot of the people that were posting were still younger in that forum post. They were maybe in high school or early college, and it's like, it's okay, but keep it as a dream.
Yeah.
And keep it as the ultimate end goal. So I thought that was really interesting. So one of the other things that was more on a light, kind of subtopic that came of it is they were talking about the changes in the industry and how 2D to hand-drawn to 3D and computer animation, how much it's changed. But one of the little topics that they started discussing outside of that was about storyboarding and how much that has changed. But what I found interesting is it's not really been that long ago that storyboards were still not all on paper. They were, just all hand-drawn. I mean, when I went to that masterclass, Matthew Lund was talking about, just a couple movies ago that they were still, paper flying everywhere and crumpled up and throwing it and all this other stuff. So I thought that was really interesting that, they discussed this a little bit and how as it's moved to just drawing them digitally on the Wacom Cintiq panels, what that means. So let's listen to this. I just thought it was an interesting little subtopic that you could get out of this discussion.
The only negative thing that I'll say is about it is storyboards are now done on the Cintiq. Is that how it is for everyone?
You don't like that?
So I don't like it, and I have my reasons before everyone boos me.
All right.
Because it used to be, in the good old days, they'd pin it up, right? And you'd see it all there, and then the person who's pitching the boards is kind of doing a performance in front of a group of people and pitching with it's what's known as a stick, a pitch and stick. And they'd point to their boards and they'd pitch it, and you do the voices and get to the end. And it was just easy to look at all of it there and like get a feel for the storytelling. And now the artist, the room is dark, the artist is in the back of the room and kind of clicking through their storyboards, right? And inevitably it's like, oh, hold on, oh, that's not supposed to be there. Hang on. And it's just like, oh. And I find myself like an old curmudgeon going, I miss the good old days. Like your voice, you do the voice better.
We actually did that accidentally. It was only like a year or so ago. We had that very problem. We were going through someone's sequence, and we were talking about how we saw the whole sequence on a screen, and they clicked through it. And on the good side of it, I think the story person they feel like they're a little more in control of the rate at which people are looking at it. And so there's a lot of these upsides, it's quick and they can push a button.
You get your lens flare. Lens flare on.
And you don't have to draw the background over and over, which is what I was one of my slowest things. But after they had pitched this sequence, we started talking about a change we wanted to make inside the sequence. And we all got a little bit confused, like, no, that happened after he jumped off the cliff. No, dude, that was before he jumped off it. And we started getting into, let's pin it up so we can see it. And so we had somebody pin them all up on those old-fashioned boards. We got all the boards out. And when we came in the room, we were like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
I can see the whole thing at once. This is incredible. And look, I can change things just like this. I can move it around. So we got to get back to like doing that.
Yeah.
Sure, pitch it on the thing, but then have it in the other room so you can go in there and start folding things over and stuff.
Still
like
evolving.
That.
Still evolving.
Yeah.
What will they think of next?
So I think that's really insightful stuff that you're getting from. They all laughed when they were talking about the guy at the back of the room pressing the button going, oh, hold on, that wasn't supposed to be there. They're all laughing, and they're all at different companies, and they're all experiencing the same scenario.
Right.
So I thought that was really, really cool. But the one thing that I took from it is I love technology. And obviously, with a passion, I'm never going to turn it away. I'm never going to say that we should solely go back to the old way. But the problem that I hear from them is a problem that I have with almost everything on a computer or a tablet when it comes to seeing the whole picture. And I came up with an example in my mind when I was listening to this about a Kindle book. And you know this from when I read them. I love reading on the Kindle.
Right.
But I never have a sense of where I am in the whole thing. And where this...
That is what you mention every single time.
Yes. And I know that they have, features that they've added that give you an idea of where you are in the chapter now. But there still is something to when you're reading an entire book and you can feel... You can see, I am like a third of the way through this book. And you see it. And you slap that bookmark in there. And then you can... Oh, where did that happen? And you can flip back to it. You can go, oh, that was in chapter 2. Flipping in an ebook is a pain in the butt because you got to be like tap, 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 or you got to go back to the menu. It's a whole thing. So I think, and this is what I think, here's what we need to invent. Don't tell anybody listening to this podcast. So what we need to invent is, like in spy movies or sci-fi movies, they always have like that clear glass wall that they always just go up and they touch it and they swoosh papers around and stuff. So I think that there needs to be a storyboard thing like this where you can control the central board, but if you want to see them as a whole overlay, you could still move them around because they talked about the advantage of being able to like unpin something and just quickly move it. So that way you could just take your hand, grab it, and move it over to the next spot.
So we need these James Bond Matrix boards.
Yeah, they always have these weird computer noises like ding, 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 as you and there's always somebody that's tapping on it, turning something, swooping something across. So I think that would be very useful. It would almost be like pinch out to view a broader sense of the storyboards. So I think that's really interesting.
I like it.
Because obviously you get the benefit that they talked about in there of not having to draw the background every time, and you can throw in lens flares and other things like that. So I thought that was really interesting. So I thought that was good. Just more insights. So if you're looking to get in the industry, definitely I would recommend listening to, not even if you're getting into the industry, if you're just interested in animation or filmmaking in general, it was a really interesting session. The first 20 minutes of that video is, frankly, the introductions of each of the 8 panel members and showing their student films that they ended up using to get hired into their companies. So it was pretty interesting. It goes slow at the beginning,
But even just to see that, being an animation fan, I mean, that's interesting.
Oh yeah, and of course,
in itself.
Of course, every single one of them, once it was shown, they all had like their heads hung and they're like, "Oh God, it's so awful." Like, but it's like it's what they did at that time and what they had. So anyways, we talked earlier about some of the other more lighthearted topics, and one of them that was out there was about a particular vinylmation that's going to be offered at the D23 Expo. But before we even get to that particular vinylmation, let's talk about the expo itself.
Yes.
So there's a lot that's coming. It's August 9th through the 11th. Going to be in, what is it, Anaheim? Anaheim, California. So there is just an insane amount of stuff out there between, if you look at the schedule on the D23 Expo page, how do you keep track of it? Obviously, we're looking at it from a Pixar point of view.
Right.
So we created, and actually it started as just, I was trying to keep track of everything Pixar related that was going to be going on there. So I started a little mind map. And when it was all said and done, I'm like, you know what? Why don't we put this out there? So I added a little bit more to it. So one of the things that we'd recommend is, if you haven't seen the map, the mind map that we pulled together, we think it's a really good way to kind of keep organized of all of the Pixar events that are going on at the expo, as well as the times and stages and locations that they're all going to be at. So, and it shows how they all link together, the toys and all that other kind of stuff. So it's pretty cool. So check that out. The other thing that we would recommend for people that are going, or even just interested in checking out more about it, to keep organized. So that's how we kind of wanted to start this out, as organized. Then let's talk about the events that are going to be happening. There's a D23 Expo app that's a free download, and it is awesome. It shows you all of the events that are going on throughout the days. You can sort it by Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then if there's one that you want to go to, you can hit, instead of like a star or a heart to favorite it, there's a little Mickey head. You tap that and it'll say, do you want to add this to your calendar? So it's pretty neat that you can add that to your calendar. That way you can have reminders for everywhere you need to be, and it'll list the stage and link back to the app and all that other kind of stuff. It's really neat.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and it, in the app too, there's maps that'll show you where everything is. You can say, view this on a map, and it'll show you like a little boom, this is where you need to go kind of thing. You can tweet right from the app. You can take photos and add little frames that say, like, I'm at the D23 Expo. Really, really kind of, totally immersive if you're going to be there.
Oh, yeah. So interactive.
Oh, we would totally have to have that.
Oh, my gosh.
I know. Don't even get...
I can't even explain to everyone how upset I am that we are not going to be there.
Yeah, it's a bummer, but obviously we live in Michigan. It's in California. We've already been to California this year.
I know.
We have to be responsible adults.
I know we do.
Everybody else listening knows.
No fun being responsible adults. Let me tell you that.
I know. Well, you don't have to tell me. I know. All right, so let's talk about some of the events that are going to be happening at the expo, though. There's a whole bunch of panels. So it's starting out, the first one is called Art and Imagination, and who's going to be presenting at that one?
Bob Iger and John Lasseter, which is really exciting.
Right, because obviously we know that, Bob, although he's not as energetic as John Lasseter, he still has this great delivery about the,
I really like him.
I know.
I
like with most CEOs, it's kind of a mixed bag of how people feel, but obviously I'd say more so people like him than not. I think actually overall he's pretty well favored, but he's just got such a calm, cool confidence.
Yes.
That like you can't not listen.
Right.
I like him.
Yeah, he is engaging in that calm demeanor.
Yeah, it's not like a Mark Andrews.
It's different.
Right.
It's hard to explain.
Right.
But then, of course, John Lasseter,
right.
How can you not be engaged and entertained when he's talking?
Exactly.
He's excited about everything. And he speaks with like passion, and it's not an overly enthused like a Mark Andrews enthusiasm.
Yeah,
it's a different kind of passion.
It's almost like every time he talks, it's like, I can't believe it. It's like he's so amazed by so many
things. You
things.
guys are going to be so excited about this.
Yeah, it's great. So he's going to be talking about, along with Bob, the whole the Disney and Pixar slate of movies that are going to be coming up. But the most important thing here in this 2.5 hour speech is that they're going to give we've been told they're going to give like a teaser or a sneak peek of The Good Dinosaur.
Right.
Now, don't get that confused. There is an art of the Good Dinosaur panel that's going to be happening, but this is where the sneak peek is going to be happening. So this will give you the overall look at everything that's going on in Disney at Pixar, and then give you the sneak peek there. So that's
and a lot of like behind the scenes information. What else did they say?
They said it was something that's supposed to be mind blowing.
Yeah,
mind blowing details. So you were speculating that it was maybe. I
was kind of hoping that maybe they were going to reveal maybe a director or two of future Pixar films.
Right.
Not saying what they're about, but, maybe announcing the directors.
That would be great.
That would be really interesting.
Right.
Please.
And obviously we know pretty far out, but we still know that there's like, 4 additional ones or 3 additional movies that we don't even know who's directing them. We just were told that it's out there.
They're out there.
Right. So moving on from there, we had talked about that there's going to be the Good Dinosaur sneak peek that's going to be there, and another screening/sneak peek that's rumored, so it's still not confirmed, is that the Toy Story of Terror half-hour short form film that's going to be coming out this October on TV is rumored to be shown during the Toy Story of Terror and the motivation behind Pixar's short form content panel. So
that is a mouthful right there.
The Toy Story of Terror and the motivation behind Pixar's short form content panel. Yes. So I actually, in thinking about it, I don't know if the entire thing is going to be shown there. The panel is an hour long. The short, factoring in commercials, would be around 22 to 23 minutes, something like that. I don't know that they would show the entire thing there and take that big of a chunk, because it's about, the whole thing is the motivation behind Pixar's short form content and talking about the Toy Story of Terror.
You know what's funny? As much as if we were going to be there, as much as I would say that I would want to see it already, October's still kind of far away, that I don't want anyone to tweet about it or ruin it. I kind of feel like it's, the D23 isn't just like industry professionals, it's fans too, and sometimes fans, if they say don't mention anything, they're gonna mention something anyway. And if the whole thing is being screened, I feel like plot points might get revealed beforehand, because October, even though it's 2 months away, it's not very far, but it's still kind of far.
Well, and the one thing that I'm kind of excited about with this short that's going to be on TV is the fact that it's almost like, hey, this is the first one that's going to be on TV,
right, and
premiering on TV. Not, they've done like some of the Cars tunes and things like that, but this one's a half hour. It's almost like it's like a new thing, and I'm really excited for it. I want to be ready. I want to be quiet. I want to have the room dimmed, popcorn ready to go. I want this is going to be like a movie
experience.
This is going to be like an at-home movie experience, seeing it for the first time. I'm excited for it.
And you know what's funny? And it's crazy, but not that they're looking into maybe continuing doing 30-minute specials on TV, but I almost feel like this is going to be massively popular.
Could be.
That might be something that they continue. Maybe I don't know if holiday specials, because it seems like everyone does a holiday special.
They do, yes.
Granted, I love them.
Yeah, of course.
But I would like to.
And it was a big lapse between, sorry to interrupt you, but it was a big lapse between where the Peanuts and Garfield was doing all of those holiday things. Exactly. And then all of a sudden in the last few years it's been happening.
Right. So I feel like this could be a great addition. Now, whether they're made in Emeryville or whether
in Pixar Canada,
who primarily does Toy Story tunes, that could be great.
I like it.
And obviously it would be longer than a standard Toy Story tune.
I like it.
I don't
That's
know.
good
I just
thinking.
kind of think, and they wouldn't have to do many, but maybe
Right.
like 2 a year or something. That could be. I don't know. It just kind of seems kind of fun. 'Cause
Yeah.
like I said, I think this is going to be massively popular.
I think so too.
And thinking of this, it's obviously going to come up on a DVD, Blu-ray. Which film is it going to come up on? Is it just going to be on like a Pixar short film
Ooh.
compilation? Or will this be out on like when Monsters University gets re-released? Obviously it's going to be released
Yeah, right.
October-ish.
Right.
But the re-release, which will happen probably next year or a year after that.
Yeah.
Just because it's the closest to the feature film coming up? Or will it be released on the Good Dinosaur DVD that will be released next year?
Yeah, who knows?
So now that's got me thinking.
Oh, great.
Oh, great.
So we do know that obviously Angus MacLane will be on hand at that Toy Story of Terror, and I won't say the whole thing, panel.
Yes.
So we're going to be talking about, they're going to be talking about the background of it, the tips and tricks, and other Pixar shorts that they get into. But what else is interesting is obviously if you've followed our site, you know that we also talked about the fact that there is going to be an Angus MacLane autograph session and meet and greet at the expo as well. And he's going to be signing the Small Fry Buzz Lightyear toys. So if you haven't seen it, I'm not going to go into it a bunch because we've done a video review, we've taken pictures. This thing is great.
It's pretty cool.
Such a cool toy with the outer box with the chicken grease stains, and then you go inside, it's the Happy Meal box and
with the medieval chicken on it.
It's like the first thing you talked about when you saw that.
Because that's what it looked like, a medieval chicken in a castle.
Right. So, and then obviously the paint on the miniature, the Small Fry Buzz that we talked about is just fantastic. This toy is done really, really well. But one of the things that we didn't note, because we didn't know it when we did our video review and did the posts, we're going to update them right after this, is that the toy is going to be sold at the Disney Consumer Pavilion Mattel store, and it's going to retail for $20. We didn't know what it was going to retail for. We guessed that it was going to be $20, but because it made sense based on the packaging and
Which
the toy.
Which is a steal, by the way.
It's a great deal for what it is. It's a collector's toy. We still don't have any word if it's going to be a limited edition or anything like that, so we'll have to see what comes from the expo. But that's going to be a pretty cool thing. And again, that's only a half hour, so if you're going to be there, get that toy. Again, we don't know if it's going to be a limited edition. Buy the toy, get to where Angus is going to be, get him to sign it, because it's a half hour. It's not going to be a lot.
Half hour is going to go over in like the blink of an eye.
Right. So another meet and greet that kind of has slid under the table a little bit is the Brad Bird meet and greet. Now, this one he's going to be there for 45 minutes, but that's still not a long time. So if you want to have an opportunity to say a couple quick words to Brad, get his autograph, maybe a quick photo, I don't know how they're going to arrange it. That's another one.
It's interesting because obviously I think Brad is there because of not just Pixar connection, but because of Tomorrowland.
He's talking about tomorrow. Yeah, he's going to be there about Tomorrowland and all that. So they set up this meet and greet with him as well, which is, he's one of those guys that, like, from a Pixar standpoint, because he's done other things outside of Pixar obviously as well, he's one of those elusive characters.
He is.
Like, everybody's like, ooh, Brad Bird. And
there's so many different things you could talk to, like, discuss.
I know, it's like, where would you even start?
Right.
Yeah. So it would be a really fun one to get to. And somebody already commented on our post that we mentioned that he was going to be there. They're like, oh man, I was all set. Christian, the guy that actually won the
Dream Journal.
The Dream Journal, the Dan Scanlon signed Dream Journal that we were giving away, said, I was already all set to go on Friday, now with Brad Bird on Saturday. What should I do? So, obviously, that shows you how much of a pull Brad Bird has. He's considering passing up seeing John Lasseter speak in order to go have a couple seconds. Yeah, with Brad Bird. That is pretty cool. Mm-hmm. So definitely consider that one as well. Which one would you rather see? That's a question that I put out there. Which one would you rather go? If you could see John Lasseter or Brad Bird talk, what would you do?
Personally?
I'm asking you, and then I'm going to ask the people on the podcast.
Oh, I would go on Friday. I would go see John Lasseter talk.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm. Now, I think because, with the quick meet and greets, it's basically like, I don't know if he's doing a signing. Those go so quickly.
Oh, yeah.
It's 2 seconds, you're in and out, and you don't really have a connection. You don't really hear him talk much.
Right.
But if I went on Friday and I could hear obviously John Lasseter and Bob Iger, they're both going to be speaking, and they're not just going to be talking about Pixar. They're going to be talking about the whole Walt Disney Company and the animation of the entire company. So you'd be hearing a lot of Disney information. But I would just find that I would take more away from that than a 10-second experience on Saturday.
So let's talk about another reason that you would want to go on Saturday.
But Saturday, there's a lot more panels.
Exactly. So speaking of that, one of them is the Art of the Good Dinosaur panel, which this one to me, and we talked about it to us, is going to be the news highlight of the expo for Pixar fans.
Oh, of course.
Because everything else is kind of, yes, there's exclusive merchandise. Yes, there's panels. The other panels, though, this is the one that people are going to be oogling because they're going to be like, oh my God, I got to know what's coming next.
Because this is the next Pixar feature that no one has seen anything about.
Right. Just a very quick snippet in January when they showed that screenshot and then the potential logo that's been out there. Right. So, and like, if this is anything like the 2011 D23 Expo when they talked about Monsters University, they had, they showed some character artwork.
Photos of maquettes.
Of maquettes. They talked a little bit about the story. We heard from Dan Scanlon. So, I mean, it was really, really interesting to see all those things. But the other thing to think about is how much more information are we going to get from this one? Because, frankly, at the 2011 Expo, Monsters University didn't come out till this year.
Yeah, it was 2 years out.
This is coming out next year, not even a full year from now. So it's like,
how much more?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously,
how much more developed are we going to hear?
Right.
So that's going to be really interesting. So in my opinion, that's the one to go to. You can't miss that. If you're going to be there across a couple days, don't miss the Art of the Good Dinosaur. Get there as early as possible because that's going to be a hot.
Plus, I mean, seeing maybe snippets of characters or character development, I mean, we can obviously kind of assume based on the storyline that, there's obviously humans, there's dinosaurs.
Good call.
I think there's going to be bug characters.
There are going to be bugs.
There has to be.
Oh, of course,
it has to be like a sidekick, almost.
Ooh,
that's what I'm thinking
about that.
of. I mean, if you think about like back in those, I mean, I'm thinking of Jurassic Park. I'm thinking of mosquitoes stuck in amber. I'm thinking there's got to be a little mosquito buddy.
Oh yeah.
Or a beetle or something.
Who knows? But we did get a little tip of that.
Mosquitoes can fly next to the characters, so it'd be I don't know. That's just my. All
right, you're
just
taking
what I think.
Yeah, right.
It couldn't be like a crawling kind of bug because it just.
How does it keep up? Well, wait. Wally had a friend. He had his cockroach.
That's why I think it's a flying bug then.
All right, there you go. They had to change it up. Well, in that post that we talked about on the forum that somebody found, it mentions that bugs could potentially be a topic in the Art of Good Dinosaur book.
But I think an actual bug is going to be a character, though.
Okay, all right, well, we'll see.
Whether it speaks or not, I think it's actually going to be a slightly main character with a dinosaur and one of the humans, if it's a boy, girl, I don't know.
All right, so for people that are going, that's the thing that you're...
That's what I think.
That's what Julie wants to know.
The three characters are a mosquito, a dinosaur, and a person. A la Jurassic Park. And
the other rumor out there is that the dinosaur's name was Jakob, spelled like Jacob, but it's pronounced Jakob. So, anyways, that's a panel that.
And I think the mosquito is Mo-skeeto.
Oh, jeez. Here we go. Insert drum fill here.
It's late.
Yeah. So anyways, another panel that's going to be happening that's going to be kind of along those lines of the Toy Story panel, the Toy Story of Terror panel, and the Art of Good Dinosaur is the Pixar Doing Our Homework panel. And to me, this is going to be along the lines of what we experienced or what you experienced at the Monsters University press day at the Pixar Animation Studios. So it's going to be a lot about how they research, how they develop on their trips that they go on, all those types of gathering experiences. So that's going to be really interesting seeing.
That is really interesting. I mean, I could sit for hours and listen to how they did research, just to make a scene work or to make the story work.
Right.
Or the research and development for buildings that they created.
Right. Well, you can't sit there for that long because it's only an hour.
Well.
So the other panel that's happening is called the Women of Pixar, and we still don't know who's officially speaking at this, but we already discussed that we would like to see Danielle Feinberg, Tia Crater, Brett Parker, and Sharon Callahan. So we've got the panel set up. So They should be there. No, so I mean, it's we'd like to hear from them as far as their perspective on the projects they've worked on and all those kind of things. Part of me feels like, in a way, this is answering to some of that, the women in Pixar discussions that have been going on.
Right.
So I think this could, support a little bit more of that. So maybe, less of those discussions can happen moving forward. I mean, obviously with Monsters University, a lot of people asked, who's the producer? Am I
Corey Ray?
Corey Ray, thank you. That
I do think that Corey and Darla will probably be there.
Yeah.
They're very, recognizable women in Pixar.
Sure. But yeah, so I mean, people asked her about it, so maybe this is a kind of an answer to that. I don't know. But we shall see. So it'll be interesting to see what comes of that panel as well. So some other events, not panels, but other events that are going on, is there's going to be a Disney Infinity demo where the first 5,000 guests that attend that will get a never before seen Disney Infinity character for free as a giveaway. So I told this to Julie, and she was like, well, I want one. And I'm like, well, you don't even know if it's going to be a Pixar character. She's like, I don't care. It's never before seen. I want it. So
I want to see it. It's like those blind bag things.
I know, you and your blind bags.
I'm nuts about silent auctions and blind bags things and mystery sets. I go crazy for them.
Well, speaking of that, there is the silent auction as well. That's another event that's going to be going on. And there's, lots of Disney, Pixar merchandise that's going on. But what were some of the Pixar-specific items that were going to be up for auction?
Yeah, they actually have things that were in the Disney parks or Disney park stores. There is a, I won't want to say life-size because...
what is a life-size character? Yeah.
I'd say probably like 4 or 5 feet tall of Flick, the ant from Bug's Life.
Yeah,
that
cool.
was in a Disney store.
Certainly not life-size. Ants aren't that
Yeah,
big.
That's why I didn't want to say life-size because they were very tiny. But there's also the construction getting ready for...
Right, when they put it outside of a ride saying this ride's coming soon.
Coming soon, but they're the posters of the Toy Story Midway Mania game.
I totally want those.
I know.
The Rex one, are you kidding?
The Rex one is amazing.
I know!
That was from Disneyland, actually.
Yeah, I saw that one, and I like the...
6 of them.
I like the Mr. Potato Head one.
Yeah.
Slinky, don't even get me started.
Oh, there's so many. I think there's a Wheezy one.
Yeah.
One.
And they're all sold separately. And then, what's the signed stuff that John Lasseter signed?
Yeah, there's 2 items that are signed by John Lasseter. One is a Cars Land pin set, which is like pins that spell out Cars Land.
It's the collection of the opening day set or something.
It's a special set, but he signed it and actually dated it with the opening of Cars Land. And then there's a what is it, like a 9-inch vinylmation of Cars Land?
There's like the 2 sizes. Yeah, there's 2 sizes of vinylmation, the larger size.
Yeah, and that is signed by John as well with a
little drawing on there.
Yeah, of Lightning McQueen.
Yeah.
So, Lightning McQueen or one of the Cars Land racers.
Right.
But those are going to be... I mean, everything in the silent auction is going to be massively popular.
Sure.
I mean, because not only do they have the Pixar themed stuff, but they have actual rides. Like, ride vehicles that you can buy.
Ride cars?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, not from Cars Land or anything.
Right, yeah.
Just,
the vehicles,
Yeah, like Matterhorn bobsleds. That's on there.
Crazy.
Like, what?
Yeah.
I'd like to have that sitting in my living room. I don't know why.
So they want to make sure that they have serious bidders as well. So you have to buy a separate ticket. You have to register for the auction if you want to do that.
And the separate ticket's not that much. It's only $23.
Of course it's $23. D23 Expo.
Oh.
Did you really not make that connection?
No, I didn't.
That's awesome. So, speaking of the cars that we were talking about, there is, outside of the silent auctions, there's another event, again in the central area, that's called like the World of Cars and Planes. And one of the things that caught my attention is that you can see how a die-cast Cars character is made. So I'm wondering how this is going to be. I mean, you can see that all day. You can just go up to it. So I'm assuming it's kind of like a display where the pieces and parts are there and it shows how they're coming together. So I thought that was kind of cool. And then one of the other things...
you would love.
Of course I would love. I'd love everything there.
I know.
So the other thing that's cool is there's an a la mode costume contest. Now this in and of itself is not something that's necessarily Pixar related. You had to register for this ahead of time. It's held at a certain time where you go there and people come out on the stage. There's this panel of judges. But what is really cool about it is that there's 5 winners, and the 5 people that they select as the best, and those people get a bronze Edna Mode statue from The Incredibles. You know, she's the one that designed their Incredibles outfits when Mr. Incredible went to her.
And it's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the similar bronze statues that they make for employees at like their 10-year anniversary, 25-year anniversary, all those types of things that are the Buzz and the Woody and all those kind of things. But there's only 5 of them made. So the first thing that came to my mind is, could you imagine if somebody won and put one of those up on eBay, how much that thing would go for?
We would buy it. I don't know why, but we would buy it.
It's cool. I mean, like, the picture's on our website, so definitely, again, anything that we're talking about here, the map that we talked about, all that, is in episode 17 of our show notes. So just
such a good costume idea, too.
Which is?
I'm not going to say it.
Why not?
I don't know. Because what if I do it, and then for Halloween, then I show it?
All right, so it's going to be your surprise for Halloween?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'll take that. So we'll talk about it come our Halloween episode. Stay hanging until then. So, and then, obviously, what would an expo be without tons of fun merchandise? So, I mean, literally bring your, I was going to say checkbooks, but credit cards, cash, whatever
checkbooks.
I'm just going to take a second on that one.
Oh, bring your checkbooks.
Yeah, fill it out there. Who should I make it out to? Disney Expo? So, anyways, there's lots of cool stuff. So, obviously, we already mentioned the Small Fry Buzz Lightyear toy. That's $20. There's going to be the Convoy Brothers die-cast cars set, which the Convoy Brothers are the fans that are on the infield in the Cars movie that are fans of the King.
The King.
And they spell out King on the front of them. There's 4 of them in the set. The box is fantastic. That's going to retail for $100. So that's fantastic as well. Definitely.
I think that's a great price for this.
For 4 cars?
Yes.
Yeah, the cars aren't as... The RVs aren't as big as I thought. They're about, like, I think, like 3-4 inches long each.
So like a oversized deluxe.
Yeah, like a deluxe, but the details on them are cool. They've got great flags. The box itself, you know how it comes in like
theming of the entire
theming
thing.
of the entire thing is fantastic. So that's great. And then there's also going to be a Pixar short films pin collection set, which obviously we already talked about you and your blind bags. They're sold in sets of 2. There's going to be 8 pins in total, but what they say is 8 pins in total with a variant and chasers. So what does that mean? Are there 8 plus a variant plus chasers? Plural?
Can you imagine if the chaser's a Partysaurus Rex chaser?
Oh.
Oh my gosh, I need 2 of these boxes of these pins. I'm like losing my mind.
Yeah.
I want them so bad.
That would be really cool.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we need some more Partysaurus Rex stuff out there.
Yeah.
Side note, there's a book that's out now, mostly for kids, and then there's going to be one that's coming out in January that's also more of a kid-style picture book. But if you have kids and you like Partysaurus Rex, check that out. Slide plug. But those pins are going to be pretty cool.
Oh.
And then we highlighted that the conversations were going on a little bit about the Vinylmations that were at the D23 Expo as well. And it's going to be an exclusive 2-pack. I shouldn't say exclusive, but it's a 2-pack of Rosie and Carla.
Limited edition.
1,500.
Yep.
And it's going to be Rosie and Carla from the Hiss and Eek sororities from Monsters U, of course. And they're going to be sold at the expo first. And then whatever's left over is going to be released to the parks. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty cool. So we'll see if all 1,500 sell out there. It's going to, I think it's $30 for that one. $30 for that one.
That's not bad either.
Well, 2 Vinylmations, how much are they normally?
$13.
$13. Yeah, and the fact that they're a limited edition, they're sold at the expo. Well, we'll see. Yeah. We'll see how it does. So pretty cool.
I would buy it if I was there. I'd buy everything if I was there.
Of course. Yeah. Very, very cool. The expo is going to be great. Certainly, if you are going, we would love to hear from you as far as whether you're going, what you're planning on doing. And we're going to start a forum post on that, actually. Mm-hmm. What you're going to do, what are the key things that you want to do when you're there? And we want to know, after you were there, what were the best moments that you experienced.
Yeah, and like photos of it.
Yes, we want to see some photos from people. It's always great to see what our readers and listeners are doing, and we're going to have a forum post about that as well. And we'll have to come up with a hashtag that we can do like we did for the Monsters U Superfan. All right, so that'll be something we'll have to come up with as well, and we'll put that in the post. But in the meantime, that about wraps up episode 17 of the Pixar Post Podcast. As usual, I'm TJ.
And I'm Julie.
And be sure to stay tuned to PixarPost.com all week for the latest Pixar news.